Welcome to the Mother-Daughter-ish podcast. It's your mama's favorite podcast.
And the podcast your daughter always wanted.
This is Miss Dawn.
And Aungelique.
From the 713. Houston, y'all. Get connected and stay connected weekly as new shows debut on Sunday, Wednesday, and please check out our Saturday Out and About showcases.
Enjoy the show. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and tell every woman on the planet that you know about our show.
Here's our show for today. Hey, it's Miss Dawn. You wondering how you can support our show, Mother-Daughter-ish? We have CashApp, we have PayPal, and we do have Vimeo. Support our show so that we can reach out to more women. Our goal is to reach and build a community of 1 million women. Why don't you come on and help us do that? Hey, mothers and daughters, we are on our final topic when it comes to health. Not the final forever, but just the final for this November 2022 series. Today we're going to talk about social and emotional health. And that's very, very important, especially if you are, let me take this gum out because I feel like I'm going to start smacking it because I'm so rude with gum. I love it so much. You know, in the last show we were talking about how gum relaxes you, and I'm watching a Christmas movie. Putting video together for you, and I was just chewing that gum like it did something to me. But today we're going to talk about social health, and I am going to start with the old-fashioned ways, of course, that I know worked very, very well for me personally and professionally. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to end with some very interesting news that I discovered about social media, which is the digital technical side of it. But I do want to give you a couple of notes first. And the first thing I want you to know is social and mental health go hand in hand. Remember when we were talking about mental health awareness and we discussed about how a lot of people who are isolated and don't have a lot of social skills or anyone to even practice those on, that they have, a lot of them have mental health issues. It all goes together. It all goes together, goes hand in hand. It said that on at least 50 places that I looked. The next thing I want you to know is when it comes to social media, there are more than 2 billion social media apps. Let me repeat that because you might think I said million with an M when I'm saying billion with a B. There are more than 2 billion social media apps. I was even going to go down a list of the top 128. And I'm going to be honest with you. I had to scale that back because out of those 128, about 100 of them I had no idea, don't know anything about them. And I'm thinking that it's for more technical people or gamers because I was just like, what? I don't know if you know this or not, but in the month of November, the United States of America, no, not the United States of America, but Earth had its 8 billionth, with a B, 8 billionth baby. Now, this was around the second week of November. The 8 billionth baby was born, I think, in Australia. That's why I had to change it from United States of America to Earth, because it's how many people are on the planet. So I guess we could say we had our 8 billionth baby on the planet. Can you imagine how many hundreds of babies have been had in the last couple of weeks? So we're at 8 billion and some change. Out of 8 billion people that we have, 59% of us are online on some type of social media interaction. I don't know about you, but I've been in the stores where I see little 2 and 3 year olds in the strollers and they work an iPad better than I ever even could try. They work those iPads so good. Very interesting to me. Very, 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 very interesting to me. All right. So what I want to do is I want to talk about, social interactions in work, social interactions in networking, social interactions personally, professionally, the benefits of social interactions. And I just want to go down the list of a lot of the information that I found, just simply because some of it was just kind of like, wow, this is really super important. I don't know why we don't have more emphasis on these things. And I'm not going to be one of those people that says they should teach this in school. Nope. These are some things that you really should be learning at home. So not blaming everything on the school, because a lot of those teachers, they weren't taught certain things as well. So let's talk about the top 3 examples of social health. There are more, but I just want to do top 3 so I can get through all 4 of the topics that I want to go through. One of the top social health examples is adapting to new social situations. It's kind of like being adaptable, whether you're at work, at home, if you're in a situation. I'll give you 3 good examples. Let's say you get a new opportunity for work, whether you work for somebody or work for yourself, but let's say you're put in a situation where you have to be around people you don't know. If you don't know how to strike up a conversation, then you might feel socially awkward. Let's say you are dating someone and for the first time you go to meet their children or their family and you don't know what to say because you haven't been in that situation in so long. It could be socially awkward. Let's say you decide, okay, I want to grow my business through networking, and you join a particular group that really supports what you do and would be around people that are like you, and you go and you don't know how to act social. And so you end up sitting in a corner. You don't get to share your business card. You don't get to get theirs. You don't get to share phone numbers in your phone. You don't get to connect later for tea or coffee, or you don't get to compare. And that's where you really miss out, is when you don't get a chance to connect with other business owners that could keep you at top of mind when it's time to refer you. So if you're in those situations, learn how to be adaptable and have some conversation always ready. Like me, I'm going to always have some conversation ready. I don't care if I'm putting on my clothes and I'm getting ready to go to the local HEB. I'm going to have some conversation ready. And it can be just at the ready. It doesn't matter. I can be picking out mangoes, and if somebody come and say, are those really good? I'll be like, you know what, they are really good. I really thought that the green and the red ones were the one, but these yellow ones, let me tell you, they will knock your socks off. They are so much sweeter. They are so much more palatable. I mean, I could go on and on and on. I could tell them how I discovered it. You know, my daughter was the one who really got me to eating the yellow ones, because she would buy those and she taught me how to squeeze them and tell which ones are ready. I mean, we could just go on and on to the point where the person probably would just say, okay, ma'am, never mind. I wouldn't literally do that, but you probably would be so bored with it unless you had the same, excitement about those mangoes as I had in the store. But, I've been in a situation where someone would be talking about something that has to do with my type of car. And then, they'll say, well, what type of modification did you do to your car? And then I can just go around the whole car and show them, okay, well, I did this to the locks, I did that. I put the police siren on it. I did this. I could just go around. Then I'll go, well, what did you do? Let's walk over to your car. And they tell me everything they did. It's just socially adaptable to be able to talk about anything. I don't care if it's the weather. Like, you want to talk about the weather? You know what? I live in Houston. And, if the weather's been this way, in 2017, we had this happen. Yes, we were the ones who had the freeze in February of 2021, blah, blah, blah. I can go. One of the next things is learning how to balance your social and personal time. Let me tell you something. When I first started my own business, I know I was networking at least 5 to 6 days a week. And I always balanced my time really, really well, because while my kids were at school, I would be networking. By the time I was done networking and could get home and could get dinner started and get my other work done, then I could dedicate my time to whatever we needed to do when it was after school time. So you got to balance your time. On the weekends, I would make sure I got my networking out of the way. So, for example, if networking was from 8 to 10, I'm going to do 8 to 10. And then after that is when we're going to plan if we're going to go to the mall or whatever we were going to do. It didn't really matter. When it was time to go on vacations, I would make sure I had all my work done before we leave. That way I don't have to do that while I'm gone. Not, hard, And then the final thing I want to say is develop the ability to maintain friendships. And when I say friendships, they can be, friendships from afar. They don't have to be where you visit each other's house. Because I have so many people that I've done business with that I've never visited their home. They've never visited my home. I was in business with a lady for 4 years, and she never knew I had one child out of the four. And just all of a sudden one day we were talking, and I said, I'm going to call you back. I got to drop my son at football practice. She said, you have a son? I said, I have two sons and two daughters. She said, oh my gosh, call me back when you get back. I had no idea. And then at that point, I realized I had never asked her about her kids, and it was by design because I'm just one focused. If we're just working, we're working. If we're friends, then we're friends. But I'm not one of those people who offers up information that's dumb, in my opinion. And so at that point, then she told me that she had a son, told me how old he was, where he lived, and why I never seen him, and all of that. So it was like, okay, it was just the next level of, okay, this is enough of what we need to know about each other. We don't need to know anything else. I don't know who she's dating. She didn't know who I was dating. We just didn't get in people's personal, we just didn't do it. We had a great balance, and we worked together for more than 10 years, and it worked out fine with us not having those type of conversations. It was always newer conversations about this is what we got going on right here. And the other great thing is that we didn't always just talk about work. We balanced it out, in my opinion, very well. And when the time came to an end, it came to an end. And so there was no, wow, I'm going to lose this best friend. It was like, okay, we worked together for a time. And there's a what I say, there's a time, a season, and a reason. And what they say, you meet people for three reasons. For three reasons. What they say, it's a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And I have only a few lifetime friends. Some of them are gone on and no longer alive. But I'm more of a reason type of friend. Like, there's a reason that I'm associated with someone, and not a reason as to how we can use each other, but a reason like, that person was supposed to teach me something, or I was supposed to teach them something, or I was supposed to learn, or I was supposed to understand something better. I'm more of a reason friend, not really a lifetime, because all the people that are going to be in my life for a lifetime, they're already here, and I just, other than becoming married, that would be the only lifetime thing I could see, but other than that, I'm good. Now I want to talk about a few other benefits of an active social life. And I'm just going to talk about 3 of the 10 I have here. One of the things that active social life does for you is that it boosts your immune system. It keeps you hyper, keeps you going, keep you excited about life and about the things that you're doing and the people that you're meeting. So it boosts your immune system. Also gives you, and that'll just kind of tag along with a great boost of immune system, but it gives you a more positive outlook on life. If you got something to look forward to, then there's no reason for you to be depressed and down in the dumps and feeling like you should delete yourself or do any harm to yourself or put yourself in a situation where you wouldn't be happy with yourself. So that positive outlook on life is something that I think all of us strive for. We already talked about it helps to improve your mental sharpness, because we talked a little bit about that in the mental health series. If you haven't listened to that, that's about 2 episodes ago. The last thing I'm going to say is that it helps you with having a longer, happier life. It's okay to live to 95, but what type of quality of life will you have at 95? I literally just said this to a friend today. We were talking about quality of life over quantity. And I was saying, hey, it's great to live to 94 or 95, but if you're going to be in poor health and you're not going to feel good about yourself, that's not quality. And so we were talking about preventative, we were talking about quality, just talking about a lot of things that me and this friend can talk about. And we have known each other since 2004, I believe. And her name is Louise Dewey. If you've been listening to this podcast at any moment, you know that we have talked. I've talked about her. I even did a series when she gave me some books, and when we went to a restaurant called the Flying Saucer. So you've heard me talk about Louise Dewey. Matter of fact, we met through networking. She used to do an e-zine, and I used to read her e-zine, and so we knew each other over the computer, but not necessarily for real. We knew each other by email, but not for real. So we both ended up at a networking event, and when she introduced herself, I said, oh my gosh, that's Queen Louise Dewey. All right. So we finally got to meet each other, and we've been friends ever since. Matter of fact, today we were talking about how much fun we had at the Napoleon Hill 100-year anniversary in Anaheim, California. We were just laughing and talking about that, and I was telling her that the past weekend I had gone through some photos, cleaning out my photo album closet, and I told her that I had come across some pictures that she and I took at that Napoleon Hill 100-year anniversary in Anaheim, California. And I hope that they do something else to commemorate it, because I've been to the introduction of the play in Malaysia with a group of 60 people. I've been to the 100-year anniversary with a group of people in Anaheim, and there were maybe only 120 people there. So it was very, very, very exclusive. You know, people like Bob Proctor and Les Brown and Sharon Lecter, and just specifically Greg. You know, there were just specific people that were invited to come to that event. And I just remember the day that she and I talked about it. I said, let's buy tickets right now. And we bought tickets right then at the same time. We got our flights. She came and, you know, hung out at my house until we got on the plane the next day. And we had a really great time. Networking was our thing, and it still is, just in a different way now. But I want to then talk about a few important social skills for kids. So if you have children, and it doesn't matter what age they're under or over, they're still your kids. You know, like, that's the one thing my kids don't understand, is that they're going to always be kids to me. You know, it's just, I get that they're adults, but there's just always something to learn from your parents, and, you know, just the way it is. But number one, learning how to share. You know, sharing is a part of daily life. Let me think about it. From the time I woke up this morning, I shared my time on the phone, talking with someone and encouraging them and sharing something that I felt like would help them. I prepared food for my family, so I shared my time in the kitchen and at the dinner table with my kids. I'm sharing this podcast with you today. There's a lot of sharing that goes on during the day. I shared, you know, my time helping my daughter, you know, get AAA to pick up her car today. So that was more of my time that I shared, that I took away from what I needed to do. So that was a part of sharing. I had to pay the overage fees for the record driver, so I shared my money. So there's a lot that we share during the day. And if you just think about, from the moment you woke up, all the things you shared today, I'm sure you'd come up with a lot as well. I can't even tell you how many text messages I shared today. I know I told at least 10 people something. I know I told at least 2 groups of people something. I know, for example, my travel club, you know, I shared something with them today. So I've been sharing all day long without even thinking about it. It just comes naturally, because guess what? It's a part of daily life. Another skill that's important to teach kids is listening, because active listening is an important skill, and even for some adults that struggle with it. When you just shut up and you just listen, you learn a lot from people. I'm about 75% good at it, only because it just depends on how you're talking to me or at me or with me. And if I don't like it, I just, you know, pause and let you know. I don't like the way that sounds, or I don't like your tone, or I don't like your aggression, or whatever. I've had guys that I've met in, you know, my younger days. I've met, you know, out and about, and they say certain things, and I'm listening to them, and I just let them know, no, I'm not the one. Like, you're not going to approach me like that. Try somebody else. Pick what that thing on Instagram say. Pick somebody else. Pick somebody else. You know, back when I was in my 20s, you know, guys used to do this thing where they would try to holler at you in a club, and then when you weren't interested, they would say, well, I didn't want to talk to you anyway. But you over here sweating for 2 hours trying to get my number, trying to buy me a drink, trying to, I guess, take me home, whatever. And then all of a sudden, when I'm just like, no, I'm not interested. You're not even caring how and why I'm not interested, but that I'm just not interested. Well, I didn't want to talk to you anyway. It's like, okay, so I'm listening to what you're saying, because what that tells me is to never, ever have another conversation with someone like that. I mean, on any level, because I look at that type of thing as aggressive, and I look at that as like, okay, that's the possible killer. Like, you could tell them, no, I'm not interested in you, and they would kill you just because you rejected them. Listen, if you don't believe me, go and check out your news and look at all of these women lately that have been killed by their boyfriends and husbands or wannabes. Just yesterday, I was looking at a news show, and I don't know what part of the listening part this lady did not do, but there was a breakdown in listening, because some kind of way this police officer had been trying to talk to her, And because she rejected him and wouldn't talk to him and go out with him, or maybe they were dating and messing around and she rejected him then. We don't know the whole story because, people don't tell you the whole story. But she had been having trash thrown all over her car every day. So she put a camera in her bedroom window where it faced her car down in the parking lot of her apartments. Come to find out, it's this police officer that had been trying to get with her. Of course, he's on paid leave. Of course, he resigned. He's still being paid, and all he's going to do is let this die down for 2 or 3 months while he's getting paid. And then he'll go and he'll enroll into another police enforcement system or work a desk job or something like that in the police system. So there was something in the listening breakdown that she didn't understand, that this is the type of guy he possibly is, and maybe you need to do something different so that he doesn't know where your car is parked, or even if that meant move. If that meant move, then you got to move. But I was so glad that she was at least smart enough to put the camera in the window to see that it was this police officer that was doing that. Following directions. Now, let me tell you something. I follow directions excellently until it comes to written directions on food. And listen, I am not ashamed to tell you this, but about a month ago, I started a bucket list item that I'm going to finish before the year is over, and it's reading all 66 books of the Bible. I am on 1 Kings right now, and I'll be doing 1 Kings and 2 Kings tomorrow, getting those 2 off the list and moving on to the next. And so I'm listening to the Bible, and in Exodus and Leviticus, they're giving all of these instructions about how to please God. And you got to kill a goat, and you got to cook it like this, and you got to serve this, and you got to hand over the blood like this, and you got to put a stripe on the dough, and and I was just like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but I was literally sitting there at my desk going, yeah, I would fail the test. I'm so glad that that's not what we're doing today. I would fail the test. I know for a fact I would fail the test, because a lot of those rules in there, it was a lot. It was a lot, y'all. I was just sitting there counting how many instructions I would lose on, and there were over 50 instructions in the Bible that I don't know if I'll be able to follow it properly. And then when you start thinking about all of the tools that they had to put together to even follow the rules, like where I'm going to get a goat from, where I'm going to get the ram for the butcher, like, I don't meet the requirements for those directions. However, other directions, I can meet the requirements, because I can't even tell y'all how much joy I am having every single day going through these Bible chapters. One day I did 4 chapters, and one day it got so good. And of course, I'm taking notes in the background, and I'm straightening up things while I'm listening, and things are pumping my memory up. I mean, it got so good. One day I went back through Genesis chapter 1, because something struck my mind, and I went, wait a minute, he said, and then I just was like, oh my God, this makes sense. Okay, makes sense. But I am enjoying it. I cannot wait until December 31st to mark that off of my bucket list, because I've been wanting to do it for so long. Like, you don't know. But anyway, following directions is definitely a social skill to possess. Collaborating and cooperating. Oh my goodness. In business, I found this to be one of the most important things. But the one thing I learned by contracting with the federal government and local government is that if it's not in writing, it never happened. So when you're collaborating and you're cooperating with people for the greater good, whatever that end result is that you both want, please get it in writing. Do something as simple as an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding. So even if I decide that I am going to be your director of social media, then we need to not only have a contract as to what I'm going to receive from you and what you're going to receive from me for the job to be done. We need to have something in writing that says this is what we both decide that we're going to do together. This is your role. This is my role. So imagine if you've got 10 or 15 people on your team and everybody trying to play everybody's role, it's going to be pure chaos. So having those collaborations and corporations in writing is a must. It is not an option. It is a must. If you want to make it an option, you can pay for that later, and you're going to pay heavy. What's that saying? You can't afford not to do these things, right? Patience. Patience is very, very important because there's so many different types of personalities that you're going to be working with. Can you imagine if you have a child in elementary and middle school who has no patience with other kids because they're an only child and they don't want to deal with other children? Because I'm going to tell you something. When I was a kid, I didn't like children. I don't play with children. When I was a kid, don't try to, get me to play with children. Don't try to get me to be like other children. I did not like children. Let me put it like this. I didn't like other people's children because it seemed like they didn't have their children trained like I was trained. So all of that talking while adults are talking, all of that all up in grown people's business while they're talking and you have something to say, all of that sitting in the same room while adults are talking, we didn't do that. They're just, if you don't have patience for certain things, you're going to show it in your actions by what you do. Especially children that are only kids. They don't really have patience for other people because it's their way or the highway most of the time. And so then their social skills lack because of that. Empathy is another one. So, there's empathy and there's sympathy. Sympathy is when you feel sorry for someone. Empathy is you feel for them because you've been through it or you have an example of how that has affected your life. So empathy is very, very, very important. And that's why it's very important to sit down and talk, to people about, this is what happened. Here's how it happened, the domino effect. You can show people from beginning to end why this particular thing, cause and effect happened, and then put things in place so it never happens again. That was the most exciting thing as I was making a complaint with a particular insurance company. And when the manager got on the phone, I could tell she had proper training because after she was so disgusted by the things that I was telling her and just totally in shock, she says, well, let's make sure we get this resolved so that it never happens again. I said, okay, you know what you're talking about. You've been trained properly. This is why you're the manager. Because my favorite thing that I used to say when I was a call center manager and it was 47 employees in there that I had to support on a daily basis is that when I would get the quality control call, when the person who worked there couldn't handle it themselves, customer service advisor couldn't handle it themselves. I think that's what we were called back then, customer service advisors, CSA. Yes, customer service advisors is what we were called in the 90s. And they would give me the phone. I would listen to the grievance of the customer on the other line. And I would let them talk and I would literally shut up. Even if I was rolling my eyes on the other end, it doesn't matter. They didn't see that. There was no FaceTime back then anyway. But when they were done, I would say, I understand, and I'm apologizing that ever happened and that had to be a part of your day. What is it that you would like me to do to make this right this instant? Or what would you like for me to do for you right now? What would make your day better right now? Immediate fix. The ball is in your court. Come up with something good because I'm going to deliver. Some of them would say, I want my money back. Some of them would say, I want you to get a technician out here to fix this issue. Some of them would say, I appreciate you just even listening. Send me a different technician. And they don't even have to come today. You could send them tomorrow. The fact that you listened to me, I feel better now. I would give them my name, give them my extension. You have any other problems from this day forward, you call me. Let me know. I'm here every day. Call me. That's all that people want to hear, is that you have some kind of empathy. Respecting people's boundaries. I have put so many boundary clauses on so many things, so many people, and so many options in life that I feel so free. I've let people know what I like and what I don't like. I've let people know I'm not the one. I've let people know, listen, we can either work together or we don't have to. Um, I like this little saying that I saw on Instagram, and they use a cuss word I'm not going to, but it says, what does she say? One thing about me is that you don't have to fool with me. You ain't got to fool with me at all. That's one thing about me. You can make it a choice or not, but you don't have to deal with me. And I love that because that's how I feel about things. It's like, you don't have to deal with me. I mean, whatever. Last thing is positivity. I'll never forget the Norman Vincent Peale book that I read years ago about positive outlooks. I still have it on my shelf. I have it in ebook. I have it in book form. I love that book because most people think that self-help is bull, but it actually is not. If you would get into some type of self-help, positivity, mind, thought, retraining of your brain, you can be a totally different person. I had to retrain my brain the way I needed it to work for my benefit. It's very, very, very selfish. Simply because if I don't get to know myself, I'll just let people just do whatever they want. I'll let people call me whatever they want. I'll let people say whatever they want. Guess what? I have a voice. I'm only going to answer to certain things. Like, you could call me whatever you want to call me, but it doesn't mean I have to answer to it. I've never been called out of my name, so I'm not worried about that. But you know how people will say, well, how's your little business doing? I'm not going to even tell you what the responses are that I've said to people. But if you want to talk to me like that, then I can either give it back to you or I can just completely ignore you. I'm pretty good at ignoring people. Like, that's literally my superpower. My superpower is the ignoration of it all. Yes, I said ignoration. And yes, I made that word up. Get over it. Now, I've saved the best for last. Best meaning for all of you people who this is what you love. First, I want to tell you the top social media networks right now is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Those are the top 5, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, top 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the top 4. I don't know where Twitter is standing right now as it pertains to switching TikTok and then saying Twitter, but that was the order that it was in. Interesting enough that Facebook owns Instagram, so of course they'd be top 2. And then Twitter's owned by Elon Musk now, and then TikTok is owned by some people in China. So we've talked about working, we've talked about network, we've talked about the benefits, we've talked about a couple tips, in the beginning. Now we're going to talk about social media. Social media has taken over every aspect of life. It has disrupted the dating scene. It has disrupted the cab scene because of Uber and Lyft. It has disrupted every facet of our life. It has disrupted the maid services because now you can get a maid to come out way cheaper than when you used to call these expensive maid companies. Now you can get people to come out and do chores for you just by going on an app and saying, hey, I need a makeup artist to come. You can get somebody to come on the spot to cut your hair, to do your makeup, to style you. It's just that easy now. Yes, I've taken advantage of a lot of them, but I also keep a balance where I still see people face to face. So let's talk about the top 20 social media sites. And this is just for 2022. We don't know what's coming for 2023 because I think Kanye just bought a social site. Donald Trump finally got his Truth Social up. And so there's just a lot going on. And I'm excited to see that there are more people thinking about building more apps. I would love to see somebody rival YouTube. I would love to see somebody rival Instagram and Facebook. I'd love to see somebody rival a Twitter. I think the most interesting thing I can remember about Twitter, because I haven't been on there in over a decade, but the most interesting thing I used to think about Twitter is that, oh, it's exciting, the 140 characters and you're good, or a video or something and you're good. So other than that, I haven't seen a Twitter post maybe since 2015, maybe since 2015 or 14. So we're going to talk about the top 20 social media sites, and if you're not on them and they catch your interest, you might want to check them out. I'm also tell you how many people are on there. Facebook has 2.9 billion with a B people on the app. So on Facebook, there's 2.9 billion people. And this is the funny thing. People always say, oh, there's plenty of people to be dating and there's plenty of fish in the sea. But you already know. You've seen fish that washed up that was terrible looking. That was terribly gross. That was terribly obnoxious. So just because there's plenty of fish in the sea doesn't mean there's a particular type you like. And then what about all those people who don't even like fish at all? So now what? All right, number 2 is YouTube, which is where you are listening to me right now. So for those of you who are not listening on the other audio, if you're looking at me, you're looking at me on YouTube. There's 2.2 billion people on this app. YouTube, I'm going to just go back up to Facebook. And I'm going to tell you in my opinion. So I'm going to add 3 things. I'm going to tell you the name of it, how many people are on there, and why I think it's successful. This is my personal opinion. Let me just give you a disclaimer that this is my personal opinion and this is not something that I read or somebody told me or anything. It's my personal opinion. So Facebook has 2.9 billion people on the app, and I think it's successful because a lot of older people, 50 and older, finally figured it out. And now they can be there and they can spy on their grandchildren and their kids, and they can post a few little pictures of their own things, and they're like committed to Facebook and they're not going to any other app. They barely just got on Facebook 10 years ago, and they just can't even imagine being on anything else. YouTube has 2.2 billion people on the app. For creators, the monetization of it is very important, and also being able to, anybody can put a video up and spread their message. Like I always say for people with this podcast, I always say, if you identify with our message, then this is a podcast for you, because we're just talking about things that can help you along the way, and especially focused on women. Next one, I don't have this one. I'll add a 4th thing. I'll tell you if I have it or I don't have it. Facebook I have. YouTube, obviously I have. WhatsApp. WhatsApp is an app that you can use on an international level. There are 2 billion people on there. By the way, Facebook owns WhatsApp. It's Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. So WhatsApp has 2 billion people on the app as well. I don't have WhatsApp, but I think the reason it's successful because a lot of international businesses can get a lot of business done. I know I tried to order some shea butter and some natural coconut oils, and all the lady had was WhatsApp, and she got so frustrated because she couldn't make a sale. But then I realized, oh my God, her country doesn't have Zelle or CashApp or PayPal. Her country didn't have that. And I really, because her village made the shea butter from the raw shea nut, and I wanted to make her one of my sources on where I could order mine from, but we just couldn't get it together because I didn't have WhatsApp. We were DMing each other back and forth, and she was saying, this is the only resource I have, and through WhatsApp you can pay, and I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't have it. And I didn't want to go and download it because the less apps I have access to, the better I feel about just not overwhelming myself with them. Instagram. Instagram has 2 billion users on it. Yes, I do have Instagram. Our Instagram is mother-daughter-ish _. We have a lot of fun over there. I haven't been posting as much lately, probably in the last month, because I'm gearing down, not gearing up, but gearing down for the end of the year so that we can break out with all of our new videos, all of our new commercials, all of our new sponsors, all the new things that we have coming up for the year. I think Instagram is successful because it's all about the pictures. Facebook is all about how many words you can use and how many times you can insult people, in my opinion, again. Instagram is more about, I thought this picture was beautiful and I'm going to share it with the world. What do you think about it? I thought this video was totally ridiculous. What do you think about it? We busted this person doing this. Tell us what you think about it. We want to get justice for Shanquilla. Everybody get on board. And everybody, got on board to help with that whole situation with the young lady that was murdered, in my opinion, in Cabo, Mexico. By the way, somebody sent me a video the other day where they had a whole view of the village where this young lady was killed, and I think it was like 32 Linda Villa Lane or Linda Lane. I went and looked at it. The villa was beautiful, and I thought, this is why I can't do Airbnbs, because you don't ever know who's done what, and these spirits linger around, and I know me, I would be the one that would find the spirit. All right. The next one is Facebook Messenger. 1.3 billion people on it, which is funny because if there's all these 2 point something billion, well, anyway, a lot of people don't want to have Messenger on their phone or their iPad, and they don't want to always have to go and log into it. Because I literally know people who say they only do Facebook on their computer, and the only way they're going to see their messages is if they're on the computer. They don't have it on their phone, their iPad, nothing. When they travel, they're not on. So if they're gone for a month, those messages are just going to stack up for a month. Yes, I have Messenger on my iPad only, not on my phone. I don't do social media on the computer. If I don't have my iPad with me, I'm totally out of doing any social networking because I decided I was going to have a boundary and that I was only going to have social media only on my iPad, because I used to have it on my phone, not Instagram ever, but I had Facebook on my phone, and I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Sometimes I do regret it, because when I want to post something, if I'm out of the country or whatever, and I don't have the big iPad with me, I can't post it until I get back to the hotel, or there's no internet or whatever. I think the reason this one is successful is because it's a great way we can DM people and get in, put a message out there to connect with them in all kinds of ways. So it's just another way to kind of slide into the DMs. I've done it, so whatever. WeChat has, I didn't even know this was still a thing. WeChat has 1.26 billion people on the app. Nope, I do not have it. So I cannot tell you why it's successful, but because of the name, I would only imagine that it's kind of like the chat box. Ooh, let me tell you, when I first got a computer in my house, it was a Gateway computer, desktop. I really only, see, I had, in the 90s, I had a job that I could get on the computer all day long. And on my break, you could look up stuff, you could shop, whatever. But I never did abuse the computer to just because I didn't know how to really use it anyway, other than the system that we were using to schedule calls or do finance or whatever. And so when I first got my Gateway computer in the house in 95 or 6, I was so excited. And I had AOL startup internet. If you know that sound, you know what I'm talking about. And I only really got a computer because somebody told me you could chat on the computer with strangers, and they didn't know who you were and you didn't know who they were, so you could say whatever you want and do whatever you want. And so I just wanted to chat. But let me tell you something, it got real up in the chat room, so I had to get out of there and start really doing some research and work instead of playing, because that chat room's scary. This is 96, 97, 98. Okay. The next one is TikTok. TikTok is number 7, and it has 1 billion people on the app. I do not have TikTok. I am not on TikTok. I do not want to be on TikTok. I think it's successful because of all the shenanigans, because of all the short videos, the long videos, the educational videos, the different various genres of the way that they can connect with people. My daughter looks up all the food on there, all the cooking shows, anything about mermaids. I mean, she tells me she spends at least 5 to 6 hours on TikTok a day. She wakes up in the morning and she loves TikTok. I don't want to be addicted to any social media in that way ever. I would rather be off of all platforms than to do that. The next one is Sina Weibo. I don't know where this is located. Maybe China. It's SINA and then Weibo, WEIBO. But 573 million people are on this app. I can't even tell you, but I got to write it down while my mind just told me to do this. I can't even tell you what my mind just told me to do, but I got to write it down because this is going to change the game for me. And I'm writing it down because while it's fresh, sign up to promote. Oh, see, I'm sharing with y'all, and the Holy Spirit is sharing with me, going, girl, you understand what's happening here? I would imagine that one is successful because of maybe it being dedicated to a particular country. In English, it means microblog. It's a Chinese microblogging site. Okay. It's been in business since 2009. Get into it. Next one, number 9, is QQ. 538.91 million people are on QQ. QQ looks to me like a chat site or of some kind, but it says QQ was released in China in 1999, and it also is associated with the launch of WeChat. It says QQ was the #1 Chinese messenger app. So we have Facebook, and then we have Messenger, Facebook Messenger. This, in China, they have, let me go back up here. They have Senia Weibo, and then their messenger app for it is the QQ. You get it? So that's very interesting. I love that. I'm getting so excited with this message the Spirit just downloaded to me, because I'm going to take this and rock it. Telegram. I love the fact that Telegram is still around. 550 million people still use it. I do not have this one, but I would imagine that it's a great way to get messages from one country to another. Telegram, it is a free messaging app, and it works across multiple devices with no limits on the media sizes. So in other words, you can send video, you can send pictures, you can send movies, possibly, depending on how big or long it is or whatever. The next one is Snapchat. 538 million people are using Snapchat. I'm not on Snapchat, never have been, but I know that the attraction to Snapchat is that you were able to send naughty things and not worry, because it would be deleted in 30 minutes, I think, or 30 minutes. It would delete. But see, people then start taking those naughty things, and with their other devices, like their iPad or something, they were videoing or taking pictures of it. Never trust an app that says, don't worry, you can send this and it'll automatically delete. Because even though somebody can take a snapshot from their phone and it'll tell on them, and you'll know that they're not doing right, but also people have more than one device, and they can take that thing and they can actually snap a picture of what you're doing. Look how many celebrities have been caught cheating because somebody was videoing them with a different device than the one they were on, so they felt safe to do these things. Forget that. The next one, I'm going to get a little help here pronouncing it. It's Show. 519.8 million people are using this app. Looks like it's a rival to Instagram. It says Show is a Chinese rival to Douyin and TikTok. So this app is a rival to TikTok, because we don't know the other one, Douyin. But I don't have this one, but I would imagine because it's a rival to TikTok, then it must be kind of like TikTok. So you can tell right there why that one is. Qzone has 517 million people on it, and Qzone is another Chinese-based app, and it mixes social networking and blogging together. Yes, there's still people who actively sit down once a week or several times a week and produce blogs, and they tie it into all of their other social links, and they get a lot of traffic, especially like a travel blog or all those type of things. I've always wanted to do a blog, but it's just the time. So now I just kind of micro blog. If I really want to give a longer story, I just do a longer message on Instagram in the description part, or either on the YouTube. I love when I say the YouTube. I feel like 72. Pinterest has 444 million people using it. Yes, I have Pinterest. No, I don't know how to use it. I love Pinterest because it has the best quotes, the best pictures, the best collages. I just don't know how to use it. And I've signed up several times and still haven't figured it out. So I haven't figured out how to create mine. But someone that I think is very handsome, I'm not going to say his name, he has a beautiful Pinterest. I mean, when I discovered his Pinterest, I was like, I don't even need a Pinterest. I'm just going to look at these pictures because they're gorgeous. I mean, whatever. The next one is going to be Twitter with 436 million people on the app. Nope, I no longer have Twitter. I did have it for maybe 5 to 7 years, but I got rid of it. And it's interesting because the email that I had from when I started it, I no longer have that email. And without that email, they won't even let you delete the thing, because I wanted to completely delete my name off the whole thing. Twitter was popular back in my day because of the 140 character thing. That was getting you to be very creative. Nowadays, I'm understanding that if you pay $8 or more, you can get a blue check, and that verifies that you're a real person and not a bot. Because a bot can't buy anything. They don't own a credit card or nothing like that. They can't verify anything with their ID or anything. But let me tell you something. That's going to set the big boys and the little boys aside. Big boys meaning humans, little boys meaning bots. And Elon is going to discover what he really purchased. So out of this 436 million people logged in, there might be 100 million, which is still great, but not good for a social media site. So number 16 is Reddit. Reddit has 430 million people using it. Yes, I do have Reddit. Yes, I do read their posts. Yes, I have posted things for Reddit through my PR person. And I think that it's important because it has a lot of different articles, things that, let's just say you do a podcast like I do, and you're looking for information and you're looking for real stories that you can break down in your own words. You can always go to Reddit and use Reddit for like your not news source, but your information source. So I do like Reddit. Number 17, Quora. I did some research a week ago, and I used Quora's answers and cited that it was from Quora. But they have 300 million people on there, so yes, I do have Quora. I do like them as well. And I believe people are interested in this because it gives you facts on, if you're looking for numbers. Like I think I had Googled how many, something that had to do with the Bible, and it gave me the answer to the best of its knowledge. I've Googled a lot of things and asked Quora what was something. I shed a little tear for the next one because this used to be my favorite one. Now I'm forced to use Zoom. Skype used to be my thing. Now it's saying as of 2022, there is still 300 million people on Skype. I'm going to have to go back over there and check them out because I liked Skype. When I did my television talk show, not Stuck on Miss Donna's, my other podcast, but when I did my TV talk show, the Fobbs Business Review, we used Skype. That's how I interviewed people all over the globe, was through Skype. And I used to love that it used to have the little Skype thing down at the bottom. I used to love that. But they say they still have 300 million users on here. I'm going to go back and reactivate my Skype account. And before you try to be funny, no, I'm not going to try to activate any of these other old accounts. I'm not even going to mention MySpace. I think Skype is important because it did really good video, and it was compatible with everyone at that time. It wasn't complicated at all. It was easy to just log into and go for it. So I'm going to have to go back over there and check them out. But Skype is a video and audio texting communication site that you can use, which is really, like I said, it was really great for me doing video. And they were an independent company, so I like that about them as well. The next one is Microsoft Teams. 270 billion people are using that, and I think a lot of people use that on their jobs. I don't have it. I don't have anything Microsoft pretty much. And I think that it would be important because it's a great way for you to share team files. It's a collaboration and video conferencing platform. So let's say we're all working on a project together, and we need to see how we're going to piece our project together as one to present it as a whole project. I think that's what would be really, really important about that one. And then finally, number 20 is LinkedIn. And you notice they put these in order of how many people are on the users' platforms. LinkedIn has 250 million people. I find it very, very funny that with a lot of grants that you're getting nowadays and a lot of platforms, if you don't have a LinkedIn, you can't even register to apply for the grants. For example, like Walmart. If you don't have a LinkedIn URL, you can't even apply for their funding. So I find it interesting that they still look at LinkedIn as a key player, but I do have a dormant LinkedIn account, and I am aware that LinkedIn is the way business people connect. So for example, when I want to go and look for sponsors or connect with someone who is involved in a product that I like and I want to present it or get donations or funding or whatever, I go to LinkedIn and I find out who the CEO of marketing and blah, 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 blah. And I use it for that particular thing. So I get the relevance of LinkedIn. I just, 250 million people being on it. It's like, okay, y'all, all right then. But that's kind of my little spiel. I like saying that word. My little spiel on social health. Listen, whether you like anything that I just said or you agree with anything I just said, one thing is going to stand true is that connecting with other people is important. I told you in one of the other shows that when I had my baby, there were my first baby, there were other babies that were in the hospital that were going to go up for adoption. The parents hadn't been discovered. They were left at the hospital. They were going to go up for foster care, and they hadn't been picked up yet. Maybe they were in the, IC, the NICU, whatever, neonatal, thing. And these babies needed to be held every day, held and fed every day by a warm body human. And while my baby was in the hospital and she was asleep, I would hold and rock other babies and feed them 3 or so a day. Okay, because I never left the hospital like that. 3 or so babies a day, sometimes more depending on the time that mine was up and wasn't up. So babies need the attention and the touch of a warm body just like you. You need the voice of reason. You need the voice of thought. You need the hug and handshake of a human. You need to be embraced by another human. You need to be able to have meaningful conversations with another human. The reason I'm saying human is because, yes, we can do all of this with robots, but it's still nothing like a human touch. I've seen a lot of groups forming with mostly men who have robot girlfriends that have the wonderful, nice touch, silicone skin, beautiful faces, great wigs. And these guys actually go to coffee houses with their synthetic girlfriends. Not my business if it's weird or not. I'm just telling you this is what's happening today while you are minding your own business. I'm seeing these things happening. I even was watching a show a month ago and a guy was bragging about how his group is building up, about the conversations they have at the coffee house with their silicone girlfriends. And that they love the fact that they can have coffee with these beautiful robot girlfriends, and the guys can talk and do everything they want, and the women just sit there and shut up. Yes, these are real conversations. But I don't care what robot you get or what synthetic life form you choose, there will be nothing like a human touch. Yeah, you could put a warming machine in it, but it's still not going to be the energy transfer that you receive when you shake another hand. Have you ever shook a hand and you're like, that's a dead fish or a limp fish because their hand was so cold and wet and stiff that you're like, do you have any life in you? Is your heart, are you a warm-blooded human? So, hey, humans are not going to replace and be replaced by synthetic life beings. But I just want to make y'all aware that this is happening now and to not get caught up in it. The virtual meta, all of that is to get you into a different universe of... See, I'm going to tell you something about me. I've never been into video games because they're too fake for me. I've never been into virtual reality because it's too fake. I've never been into reality shows because it's too fake. I've never been into a lot of things because no matter how much you try to present it to me that it's going to be better, if it's fake, my brain is like, it's too fake. That's why I've never been able to get into reality shows. I've never been able to get into, virtual reality. I've never been able to get into those games like Sims and none of these video games, and half of them are such trash that I wouldn't even want to play them because it's all about kill, murder, shoot, run over, just absolutely raunchy type of thing. So that's why I never really got into them as well. But anyway, that's my show today on social health, and that concludes. I'm so excited because I'm ready for December. I was just taking all my notes on what I was going to talk about for December. But that concludes our show for this month on health in all areas of our life. And if you have not gotten a chance to listen to all of them, please do. Please comment. Please share. Definitely like the video and listen to it all the way to the end. So many good nuggets. I think if I had to say what my favorite one was so far, was the movement one and this one here on social health. Everything else was super important, like vitamin health. All that was so important, but these two here, I'm gonna tell you, I could do 2 hours of talking and never get tired, because that's how passionate I am about it. But that's the show for today, and until next time, bye, and make sure you comment.
Hey, it's Miss Dawn. You wondering how you can support our show, Mother-Daughter-ish? We have CashApp, we have PayPal, and we do have Vimeo. Support our show so that we can reach out to more women. Our goal is to reach and build a community of 1 million women. Why don't you come on and help us do that?